All right, the Sort of Sports Podcast, episode 55. It is currently about 1 a.m. on July 23rd. So last night, I got home at around midnight after going to see what is probably going to go down as a historical moment in my life because both these movies really worked for me. I went and saw Barbenheimer. I said on the last pod that my next podcast would be my Barbenheimer review. And here it is. So next week, I'm going on a family vacation to Tennessee, so I will not be recording at all. And when I get back, I'm going to do my MLB trade deadline. Why did I say trade like that? Trade deadline reactions and everything. And so that'll be the next pod. I might have a guest star on that. That's kind of in the works. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, so last night I got back and I was like, okay, I'm recording the podcast, then I'm going to bed. I just got out of the movies. I went and saw Barbie at 5:30. I ate dinner, had Mexican, my favorite Mexican place. Walked across the street to my favorite movie theater. Went in, saw Barbie, had the tickets pre-bought. I went my girlfriend, and my sister and her boyfriend. We watched that. We walked out. Got gelato, which I got banana. It's excellent. Genevieve made fun of me for getting banana gelato, but I like banana ice cream. I know most people hate on it, but I like it. So ate that and then walked back in for an 8:30 showing of Oppenheimer. Met my mother and a friend from work that's a history teacher. So yeah, my mom, the English teacher, a history teacher of mine, and then me, Genevieve, my sister, and her boyfriend all watched Oppenheimer together from 8:30 to 11:30. Drove home, got home at midnight. Talked about the movie for a little bit, and then I was like, about time to record was around 1 yesterday, and I was like, I want to sleep on it. I want to think about it. I just have so many thoughts about both these movies. If I would have seen these movies separately, I think they still would have been excellent. I think seeing them together just made it all the more fun. And, this is a really special time, and I think we all need to appreciate this because the Barbenheimer thing was just like, I remember when I first, it was the first thing was like, they were all coming out on the same day, and I saw a joke that's like going to see both in the same day cinema, and that was like this winter, because they're both very highly anticipated films, but by very different fan bases. Really the only thing that unites it is that, most cinephiles, like big movie people, like Nolan, and most big movie people like Greta Gerwig. Like that was really the big connector, and Noah Baumbach being involved in Barbie, and like Gosling and Margot Robbie both have very strong reputations. I think with this movie, it is definitive that Margot Robbie is like my favorite actress. She's just great in literally everything, and she has great taste in the roles she takes. She consistently makes good movies, and she's great in them. But they have, and then like the cast of Barbie's obviously like stellar. I mean, Michael Cera is great in it. I laughed at Will Ferrell. He made me laugh. I think her name's Issa Rae. She's great. I can't remember her name. Ferreira was her last name. I can't remember her first name. But she was in it. She was good. Really, the whole cast of Barbie absolutely kills it. I mean, but back to the task at hand. It was really cool how this all came together because it was just like this. Like at first it was a little joke, and I made some people making jokes about it, and then it started growing. And around like March, it was like the thing to do is you got to see them together. And I said to my family, I was like, we're doing it because my mother, like Oppenheimer, is like a biblical event to her. Like it is her favorite actor. With I think Nolan after this movie is now her favorite director over a history piece that she's very interested in. J. Robert Oppenheimer. Well, not a history piece, but you know what I mean, like a historical person. So this is like her most anticipated movie ever. Like this would be like if this would be like if Quentin Tarantino said, you know what, I'm making an 11th movie, and it's Spider-Man, and I'm gonna somehow bring back young Arnold, like 1992 Arnold Schwarzenegger is gonna be in it, along with Donald Glover. That would be that to me, right? Would that be my peak film? Michael B. Jordan's got to be in it too. Maybe Eddie Murphy too. Yeah, I think. And then Jerry Seinfeld has to cameo. That'd be like my like equivalent to this to my mother. This movie's like Oppenheimer is like huge to her. So she already wants to see it again, which I'm like, it's a 3-hour like drama, like a pure drama. So, I'm not sure if I'm ready to go see it already. Regardless, back to what I was saying. So the Barbenheimer thing, it was cool because like I had like about like the spring, I was like, yeah, we're gonna see them do both. Well, then within those last like month and a half, it is ramped up. Like it is like the thing. There's T-shirts and there's so much hype and all the posts are like you have to see them both. And I think I said it before in last pod. I think these movies are maybe the first time in movie history that we're gonna have two movies that released on the same day that are both gonna make $1 billion. It's like a done deal. The Barbie movie's gonna make $1 billion. Greta Gerwig's on track to have like the highest grossing film ever by a female director, which is really cool because this movie has a lot of like feminist themes in it. I mean, it's pretty on the nose about it, and I think it's really cool that combined with the fact it's obviously directed by a female director, it'll be really cool for that to be the highest grossing female directed film. I just think it's nice how that lines up. And then Oppenheimer is a little tougher to get to $1 billion, but you already think if it's a Nolan project, it's probably going to make good money. He's super rare in the fact that he makes lots of money as a, big director. I mean, like some of his lowest, like his like top 4 or 5 highest grossing films are all above. Like his 5th highest grossing film is above Scorsese and Tarantino's highest grossing film. Like Nolan, even though he is, a guy who can go on to win Oscars and he writes his own stuff and he's an award-winning director, he somehow is he's super popular. Like he feels like he's the filmmaker of the generation at the moment. I mean, ever since, really, I would say like Memento and Insomnia and Batman Begins were warming him up. And like I think Prestige I've heard great things about the Prestige. Haven't seen it yet. I know. But I feel like Dark Knight on, it's just like, yeah, this guy is the biggest director in the world. And I think Oppenheimer reinforces that. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to talk about the Barbenheimer thing. I love the fact that this became the huge thing because there's more involving people that wouldn't have originally seen Oppenheimer to go see it. And it's an amazing movie. And then people that wouldn't have seen Barbie and only seen Oppenheimer are now interested in Barbie. And I think that's great because these movies are both classics. That's my official review. Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I think I have more to say about Barbie. And I saw it first, so I'm going to talk about it first. Barbie is one of the, if not it might be the most unique film I've ever seen in my life. As a huge Lego movie fan, I loved it because it had that, we're going to break the fourth wall. We're going to do things we shouldn't do. Like, I love movies that break the rules. And not just to be dumb, because like it's like the movie is so smart it doesn't have to work like a normal movie, and it knows that. And movies that can do that, I absolutely love. Pulp Fiction is a movie like that. It does things a normal movie would not do on purpose, and it gets away with it, and it makes it such a stronger film. Another one of my favorite movies, Ferris Bueller, does the exact same thing. Ferris Bueller with the fourth wall breaks is something you would not do, and it works perfectly. Pulp Fiction has many things you don't do. You don't do the entire Ring plot with Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames and everything that goes on there with the Gimp and all that. You don't do that in a movie and play it as a comedy scene, yet it works. And you don't do this weird nonlinear narrative, but it works. You don't do a story about mobsters that basically doesn't involve any mob hits. It's just about them talking. And it works. A lot of the movies I love do things that you really shouldn't do. And I think Django Unchained, another movie, breaks conventions, and I love that. Lego Movie, another one of my favorites, breaks conventions, and I love that. Moneyball, a movie about baseball that's really not even about baseball. It's more about money and changing systems that should, like, it's more about business and how you need to be open-minded. But it's a baseball movie. Barbie does that. I was watching this movie, and there were so many times where I'm like, this feels like something like I would make. Because it just, they're in the middle of a fight sequence, and then all of a sudden, boom, it flashes, and they're in a dance number. And that's near the end of the movie, and I lost my mind. Oh, by the way, spoilers for everything, by the way. I never do non-spoilers, really. I have too much to say. And they just go into a dance number. And that's just something I love, where it's like, yeah, we don't care. We're going to do it because it's fun, and you're enjoying it. It has this joyous feeling. When the entire plot of this movie, with Barbie going into the real world, and the whole joke when she said to the guys, like, I don't have a vagina. Ken and I don't have genitals. That's hilarious. And the fact that they're sitting there and they wrote that and that got made is just incredible to me. Like, there's no movie that's ever been this, I don't want to say shocking, but it's just, there's no movie like this. I have never in my life watched a movie with this sense of humor and this level of confidence, I guess is what I'd say. It is such a confident film for doing, it's an absolute, like, batshit crazy movie. Absolutely. Crazy movie. But it's so confident about it that you just know it's going to be going down as a classic. Because it's like, it's got this insane hype. It's got legitimately, I don't hand out the Oscars. I hand out the sort of sporties. I only stick to the important stuff. But Ryan Gosling has to be at least nominated because he is hands down my favorite performance I've seen in a movie released in 2023. He is probably up there for out of like the 50 movies I've watched this year, regardless of year they released. One of my favorite performances. He is hilarious in this movie. And like as far as like best actors working in Hollywood, I've always stuck by the best two are DiCaprio and Bale. And I think at this point, I would say Cillian and Gosling. It's like that's a top four. I don't know who the fifth is. Maybe it's like Andrew Garfield or Robert Pattinson, but I need to see another movie from them to really assure. But based off everything I watch, it feels like the four best actors working in Hollywood are Gosling, Cillian, Bale, and DiCaprio. Now, I have watched the least amount of Gosling's movies. I mean, I need to see La La Land. I know. Boo, boo. I need to see Blade Runner 2049. I know. Boo, boo. Drive. I know. I didn't really like The Nice Guys that much. Oh, I know. I'm getting hated on. But basis of everything I hear, Ryan Gosling's great, and he was absolutely great in this. And I think this is, he already had a pop culture presence, but now this is going to skyrocket him, I think. Like, this is, all the memes are going to make about Ken are going to be funny because he's hilarious this movie. His entire plot line of, becoming like obsessed with like hyper masculinity and all that is so funny. And at the end where he's wearing the hoodie that says, I'm Kenough, I absolutely lost it. His entire character arc of, discovering, just being like, his world revolves around Barbie. And then, he gets exposed to the real world and becomes like obsessed with like hyper masculinity, like toxic masculinity. And then at the end he breaks down and is like, no, I don't have to be that way to be, I just need to find who I am. And I think a lot of people can misinterpret what this movie's trying to say. And I think really the message is you just got to find yourself and be who you are. I know it sounds like very bland statement. But I mean, like, it's obviously, it's pointing out a lot of interesting gender roles in our society, both positive and negative ones. It has a really great feminist message, which I liked. I understand people are like, oh, it's kind of heavy-handed, but I think it worked for the movie. For a movie that has one of the funniest fourth wall breaks in any movie with, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but it involves the narrator chiming in while Margot Robbie's crying. I usually give spoilers, but that joke is too funny for me to ruin. I absolutely died at that. That was so funny. I don't feel like the movie's too heavy-handed because it's a movie that's constantly breaking the fourth wall and doing things you're not supposed to do. So, when it straight up looked at the audience and essentially gave a feminist speech, I was cool with it. I was like, all right, that seems like something that fit in this movie. So, I liked everything the movie had going on. I think you can overanalyze it and, be like, oh, it's trying to say this, trying to say that. I think at the end of the day, the movie's just saying be yourself and don't fall into what society believes you are based off, your gender or really anything, like where you come from, anything like that. You don't have to be what society expects you to be. You just have to be yourself. And I think that is a really good message. And I think, just because it was a crazy, hilarious, and amazing movie doesn't mean it doesn't have a good message at its core. And I think it does. I think the idea of just being who you are is really cool. So I thought that was a good message. I didn't expect to talk about that, but I just started talking and it kind of came out. The I'm Just Ken song in it is an absolute banger, and I've streamed it like 5 times already. It absolutely slaps, and Ryan Gosling, they need to give you the Oscar for Best Original Song because you absolutely kill it, and I need to see you at the Oscars performing because it's top tier, top notch. It was funny because last night I got home from the theater and I thought, I think Oppenheimer's better. They're both great, though. I went to sleep. And then this morning I woke up and I was like, I might have preferred Barbie. Barbie is incredible. And it's such a very me movie in the way that it just does things it's not supposed to. They bleep out somebody's calling somebody, well, I shouldn't call anybody that, but the F word is bleeped out in this movie. There's going to be a lot of kids go to see this movie. There's a vagina joke. The movie ends with a gynecologist joke, which I absolutely thought was perfect. It was so funny. This movie is going to be endlessly rewatchable. It is a perfect movie, in my opinion, for if you're on an airplane to watch, because it's very bright, it's fun, it's light, but it's 2 hours, but it doesn't feel like it's 2 hours. It would be a perfect movie to watch on a flight. If I go to Europe again, I think we're talking about maybe going in like 2 years. Hopefully, pray to the Lord, whoever I'm flying with has this movie, because I will 100% watch it on a plane. It is a perfect plane movie. Gosling does steal the show as Ken. He is absolutely hilarious, but I can't understate that Margot Robbie is really good as Barbie, because it's crazy to me that you empathize with her as a character when she's, at the beginning, she just feels like this cartoonish, always happy, perfect little world Barbie. And as the course movie continues on, she becomes a fully formed person with her own emotions and depths. And that's what the whole movie is about, is her journey from just a toy with this very generic worldview into becoming a human. And that's how you empathize with the character. So I thought it was cool how us as an audience reflected her journey throughout the film. So and Margot Robbie's great in this. She's great in every movie, though. She's, like I said, I think she's officially my favorite actress. She's great. But I will give my review of which movie is better at the end. But I think if Across the Spider-Verse didn't come out this year, it would be very tough for me to pick which movie is the best of 2023, because I don't think anything's going to top Barbie or Oppenheimer. They're both, classics. I'm serious. I think, down the line, people are going to be talking for years, both these movies are going to stand out. You're going to see directors in 20 years talking about which movies inspired them, and they're going to say one of these movies. They're going to say, when I was younger, I really liked Oppenheimer. Nolan's movies really worked for me, but Oppenheimer was very special. And then you're going to see directors that are like, I watched Barbie and I thought, I want to make movies like that. Speaking of that, Barbie is so unique and crazy and fun, and I love the energy of the movie, and it's so weird. My dad would not like this movie. He's going to think it's way too weird. But I dig it. I just really hope, the studios look at this and go, wow, they made a crazy, weird movie with a big budget IP, and it paid off. And I hope the lesson learned from this movie is not, hey, let's make more brand-based movies. No, that's probably the lesson they're going to take. They're going to go, oh, Mattel, let's make more movies about Mattel toys. But I hope it's not the lesson they take, because I think what's important about the Barbie movie is it's a really good movie, regardless if it's an IP, and it uses the brand of Barbie to elevate the film really on a comedic level. There's a lot of really funny jokes that come out of it being Barbie. But overall, it's just a really good movie, and it takes a lot of risks. And so I hope there are other. I hope studios see this and think we should take more risks, because this movie could have came out and been, just kind of goofy, just the goofy Barbie movie. It didn't have to take these risks and do these wild, it didn't have to have a deep, thematic thing about Barbie becoming human. It didn't have to have, a real message and a montage of different women in their lives, and it didn't have to have all this in it. Yet they chose to make a movie that has a lot to say, and it takes a lot of risks, both comedically and dramatically. And I think it completely pays off. And I'm Just Ken is an absolute banger, and the I Am Kenough hoodie I need to buy because that's hilarious. And I feel like I gotta go for Ken as Halloween. He's got the blonde hair. I could pull it off. I don't have the abs though, or the spray tan. I'll have to add that in. I think it's a little easier to add in the spray tan than the abs. But yeah, I'm really happy with this movie. I think it was better than I thought it'd be, because I said I was more excited for Barbie, but I don't know what I was actually more excited for. I had higher expectation for Oppenheimer, and then now I'm like, wow, both those movies are incredible. They both blew me away. What's funny is I am obviously not the target audience for Barbie, but yet I feel like it feels like a very me movie in the fact that it takes lots of risks. But as far as you wouldn't think a Barbie movie would be very me. I mean, I never really played with Barbies, and it literally has a joke about dudes trying to the stereotypical male wanting a girl to watch The Godfather with him, which I have literally told G we should watch The Godfather sometime. So I felt a little targeted by that joke, but it was really funny. So there's so many funny moments in the film. The part around the beach when the girls pull out their phones when they're singing on the guitars, that part's hilarious. Gosh. Simu Liu, I think is how you pronounce it, the guy who plays Shang-Chi, he was really great in this as another Ken. He was great. I really liked him in this. Oh, man, it was just great. Oh, Kate McKinnon as Weird Barbie, she was great. I mean, literally just everybody in this movie was great. John Cena, I loved when he showed up. Anytime John Cena is in a movie, it automatically makes the movie better, because he is great, and I love John Cena. He's so great. Peacemaker is probably my favorite show I've watched this year, because it's great. Oh, by the way, Invincible Season 2 is coming to come out soon, so I'll have to watch that. Very excited. Now, also, on another note, Greta Gerwig is now, the next big thing. I'm almost starting to wonder, because, as far as, big directors, young big directors, there's, 3 main ones, in my eyes. It's, Robert Eggers, and Damien Chazelle, and Greta Gerwig. Out of those 3, the one that has the strongest track record is Greta Gerwig. Pretty much everybody I know that watched Lady Bird likes it. Everybody I know that watched Little Women likes it. I haven't seen either. I'll probably watch them both soon now. And I don't know how you wouldn't like Barbie. It's great. Chazelle, Babylon people are split on. I need to watch that because I'm very intrigued. First Man, I know people kind of dog on, but I don't know. It looked like an Oscar bait movie, so I think that's why people kind of dog on it. And then La La Land, I always hear great things about. And then obviously Whiplash is everybody's like, wow, it's the best movie ever. And I believe him because J.K. Simmons is in it. And Miles Teller, both great guys. And then Eggers obviously has The Witch, which I always hear good things about. The Lighthouse, which is a weird movie, but I always hear great things about. And then Northman, which I really liked. But those are the big 3 young directors at the time. And I think Greta has a chance to just become the next director. I mean, Nolan has been the director, I think, for probably about, I said since Dark Knight, so it's been about 15 years. He's been the biggest director in Hollywood. I don't think there is no name that is more important in Hollywood than him. As far as a director, I think Oppenheimer is the epitome of showing that with the cast he got and the movie he was allowed to make. And, the fact that this movie's going to make a ton of money, this movie meaning Oppenheimer, just means that he's going to continue to do literally whatever he wants, which is awesome because Oppenheimer's great. And I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but I'm also saying Greta Gerwig, I think her next project is to make some Chronicles of Narnia films for Netflix. I'm sure she's going to kill that, and I think we're witnessing this Barbie Oppenheimer thing's never going to happen again because a studio's never going to put two big deal movies like this again. And if they did, they'd be doing it on purpose to try to recreate the Oppenheimer, like the Barbenheimer thing. And if a studio tried to recreate it, it just wouldn't happen. Like, it was just this really, like, it was just this thing that, this special thing that just kind of happened. And I think it's great because I don't know when it'll ever be again that two movies this good come out in the same day. That's what I'm saying. I think there's a chance they both make $1 billion, which is crazy because the fact that Oppenheimer can make $1 billion, I mean, it is a very, very, straightforward drama. I don't know if straightforward is the right word. It is a very heavy drama with a non-linear plot. And I think it's going to make $1 billion, but I think it might. Barbie definitely will. I mean, that movie's going to make oodles of money, and that's great. It should because it's awesome. So, yeah, Greta Gerwig, I think is might, down the line, this might be the passing of the torch moment, right? Like, Nolan's still going to be one of the biggest directors in Hollywood, but I think Greta might take the throne as the director in Hollywood. Or Chazelle could come in. I think Eggers is a little too weird to be, the guy. Like, he can be the guy to people that, are more in independent films. But as far as, names that the general American public will go see in the theater, I mean, Nolan has been that guy. Spielberg used to be that guy. Ridley Scott was that guy for a minute there, after, Gladiator. Well, kind of during Gladiator, I guess I should say. So, was Oliver Stone at that point for a minute? Maybe. I'm not sure. But I'm saying when you're just you're the director that people say your name, and even people that aren't even big movie people know your name. Like, Spielberg's one of those. Nolan's one of those. Tarantino's one of those, but his moment of, people will go see my movie because my name's on it, passed, I think. Now it's more the Tarantino fans and your movie people. I don't think, his style is so distinct it kind of turns off the general audience, I think. I think that's kind of how Scorsese is, too. It kind of turns off some people. Whereas, I don't know, Nolan's just special. Everybody's in for it, and I think Greta's next in line. I think Chazelle's really the only one I can see taking her down. As much as I love Denis Villeneuve, I don't know if he is. I don't know what he's going to do after Dune. Speaking of, they might delay Dune, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, on to Oppenheimer. When the bomb went off, it was absolutely crazy, and it was dead silent in the theater, and you could hear them breathing, and that was awesome. And then you get this shockwave of the sound, and that was absolutely crazy. It was so cool, so cool, so cool. The sex scene is weird when the one in the boardroom, when you realize that there's no CGI, so they actually filmed it like that, which makes me very uncomfortable for literally everyone involved. Okay, so the cast of this movie is insane. Robert Downey Jr. probably will win the Oscar for his performance as Strauss, because what I liked about him as Strauss is that the whole movie, I don't really like him, but you don't have a real reason to hate him, and then he just snaps when he starts to realize he's not going to get into the cabinet. You just see him completely flip the switch, and you're like, wow, you are a terrible person, and I don't like you now. And that's how I really liked that from Downey. I mean, he gave an excellent performance, and he's like, yeah, I'm still a really good actor, and I'm not just going to sit on my Marvel money and live in a mansion in Malibu like I'm Tony Stark in real life. I actually want to continue putting in acting performances, and I'm damn good at it. And, I mean, yeah, he is good at it. Wow. He was really good in this movie. I don't know his screen time. I bet Damon has more screen time. There's a couple of the scientists, like Josh Hartnett, might have more screen time than Strauss, but Strauss feels like the second character. You'd think Oppenheimer than him, because it's just his importance to the story. I mean, the movie is intercutting between him and Oppenheimer's, him getting into the cabinet, Oppenheimer being interviewed, and then Oppenheimer's past. That's what the movie bounces between. And what I really liked about it is that Nolan used the nonlinear structure in the most heavy, the heaviest he's ever used it, and where the whole movie, I kind of compared a painting, where it's there's everything's going on at once, but you take it all in. Those big paintings, and the ones they put on like the top of chapels, where they each have like a little like Bible story in it, right? So it's like you go around and it's like there's like little sectors of this massive ceiling painting, and they all have like little biblical events. Or they used to do is like Greek gods, right? Like it'd just be this massive wall of painting, and it's got a bunch of sectors. But if you look at it as a whole, you just get this entire like look of Greek history or of biblical history. And that's how this movie is, I feel like, where there's just you get these different sectors and you take a look at it as an entire whole, and that's the film. It's not like this happens and this happens, this happens. Like, no, you watch everything happen at once, basically, and then it ends. And I thought that was really cool. It if you do structure it though, it's like the first hour is, you know, his past, him being a physicist and working up to going to Los Alamos. The second hour is everything with the atomic bomb, and the third hour becomes like a courtroom drama for a minute there, all about, you know, how he was treated afterwards with the communist stuff and his security clearance being revoked, and everything with Strauss, and that was, oh man, I was like, I've wanted to see Nolan make something personal for forever, really, and not try to make the biggest, craziest movie he can. And so, of course, when he decided to make a drama about people, he chose the guy who created literally the biggest weapon ever. So, you know, very, very on point Nolan there. Where it's like, well, I'm going to make something small about people, except I'm going to pick somebody that created the most powerful weapon ever. But the fact that this movie ends and you think about the world we live in today, even though the subject matter is happening like 80 years ago, a little less than 80 years ago. That's really special from Nolan. That he's making you think about your own life and what's happening now, and the effects that Oppenheimer have had on your own life and what you're thinking about now. And that's insane that he can make you think like that. The last shot and the last line of the movie make you think just the way Oppenheimer is about the future. And that's cool to me. The fact that Nolan can affect you in that way. I thought Cillian absolutely killed it. I don't think I need to say much more. Everybody knows he was going to kill this role, and he did. I think he's going to be in like all Nolan's movies from now on, and he will be great in all of them because Cillian Murphy is really good, and he's great as Oppenheimer, and I hope he wins the Oscar because he deserves it. But, you know, like I said, I don't run the Oscars. I run the Sort of Sporties. I only stick to the important things in life. Still haven't heard back from Jamie Foxx. We'll see if he calls in to host this year. But this movie, all right, Nolan. Said it before, my second favorite director. Still have yet to watch all his movies. I know. I'm ashamed. You know, I haven't watched a Tarantino movie in like a month. I'm really getting behind. I was said by now I would have ranked them all, but you know, I've just been so caught up watching other movies in the theaters. I'm always in the theater. I'm always going to new movies. I got to slow down and watch some more Tarantino. I'll get it done by the end of the year. That is like deadline. I have to be done watching all the Tarantinos by the end of the year. I have to rank them all before the Sort of Sporties this year. Has to happen. Okay, so also over time I've decided Jackie Brown's probably gonna be in the Hall of Fame, which means all his movies are gonna be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Okay, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Back to the show. I think this is Nolan's best movie. I think the only one that you can argue is better is The Dark Knight. And I think The Dark Knight may be better, but it's this and The Dark Knight. That's his two best. I think this is better than Inception. I actually like Interstellar more than Inception. I think this is better than both of those. I love Tenet. I will always love Tenet. If you say Tenet is your favorite Nolan movie, you and I are instantly homies. This is better than Tenet. This is better than Dunkirk. Dunkirk is very good, but it might be my least favorite Nolan film. I don't know. I kind of like Batman Begins. Not gonna lie, hot take. So, yeah, this is better than Batman Begins, obviously. But I mean, I haven't watched Memento or Insomnia or Prestige. Those are the ones I haven't seen. Or Following. I need to watch Following, right? So. Oh, don't tell anyone, but I haven't seen Dark Knight Rises. I just act like I have because I meant to watch it one night after I was going through them all. Like, I watched Batman Begins, and then I watched Dark Knight, and then I was going to watch Dark Knight Rises, and then I just never got around to it. So now I don't want to tell anyone. So that's my dirty secret. All right, what to say about Oppenheimer? As far as, like, historical biopics, if you count Moneyball's one, Moneyball's better than this. I'm really trying to think if there's a historical biopic I like more than this. I really like 42 with Chadwick Boseman. That one's really good. But this is like the best one ever. I think this is just super great. Nolan absolutely crushes it. His use of practical effects combined with the way he can create tension, combined with the way he writes, and the dialogue in here is excellent. I think this is the best characters to say Nolan dialogue because they're supposed to sound smart. All Nolan's dialogue always sounds really smart. And sometimes it doesn't work because you're like, you are a Gotham criminal. You should not sound like you're very smart. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, Joker makes sense when he sounds smart. But I'm just saying, like, even like the mob bosses in Batman Begins are like, I don't understand why you would come in here and insult my pride. Well, it's not even that smart, but they always like to use big words. Okay. This sounds like really dumb. I'm starting to sound like I am actually the dumb one and that everybody's talking normal. But that is not the case. If you've watched an Nolan movie, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody always talks like they just got their PhDs. Well, in this movie, everybody does have PhDs, so it makes sense. Except Matt Damon. He says the first F word in the movie, and he says it well. So good for Matt Damon. I don't know what it is about Matt Damon, but every movie I watch him in, I'm like, oh, it's Matt Damon playing him. I don't know why. I just can never see him disappear into a role. There's just something about him. I don't know what it is. Ben Affleck, I don't have this problem with, even though I kind of become a big Ben Affleck guy. I think Ben Affleck's great. I don't know why I said that like it's a hot take. Also, Matt Damon being in this and Air, like, what an absolute dog. Like, those are both really good movies. Air is really good. Like, really, really good. All right. What else do I want to say? Nolan's talked about maybe directing a James Bond movie next. I would absolutely love that. It's perfect time because I can just have him do one. He can cast literally whoever he wants, and then if they want to keep that cast, they can, or they can just reset again because they're going to reset. So let him make Cillian Murphy M. Let him make who's the guy in the new Gal Gadot movie. He Heart of Stone, right? It looks pretty good. Yeah. There's an actor in here that I think would be a good James Bond. Jamie Dornan. Yeah, he'd be great. I can't take credit for this. My mother actually said I think Jamie Dornan would be a great James Bond. And I was like, crap, she's right. He would be. Oh, I forgot. He's the guy from 50. He was in 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed. That was like some of his earliest movies. Is he in 50 Shades of Grey too? Oh, he's the main. Oh, he's Grey. Oh, I don't watch those, but that's hilarious to me. That was like his big start. It's 50 Shades of Grey. He's Christian Grey. Oh man. Oh, he's in Belfast. My mother loves that movie. I've never watched it. Kenneth Branagh. Yeah, Jamie Dornan I think would be a good Bond, and he's pretty young. Well, he's actually not that young. He's 41. That's about the right age for Bond, though. I mean, well, Craig was much younger than that when Craig took over. Look, he can make Jamie Dornan in one movie, then they can reset and get somebody new. They can do whatever they want, Bond, but I'm saying if Nolan wants to do it, Nolan would kill it. Let him do it. And just say, cast whoever you want, do whatever you do literally whatever you want. It'll make a ton of money because it's A, Nolan, and B, a James Bond movie. It'll make a ton of money. It'll be a big hit, and everybody will like it, and then you can just reset again. Boom. Yeah, I'd love that if he did James Bond movie. But he kind of already did his James Bond movie, and it's Tenet, and Tenet's great, so then there's that. But whatever Nolan makes next, I'm super excited for. But as far as Oppenheimer goes, it was even better than I thought it'd be because I thought it'd be like about as good as I was expecting. Like, I don't know. I was expecting like better than Dunkirk, but not better than Interstellar, in my mind. Because like to me, Interstellar is like borderline his best movie, other than The Dark Knight. And the fact that it's like Oppenheimer and Dark Knight are like the two best Nolan movies in my eyes now, which is a really big compliment because The Dark Knight's great, and I think Oppenheimer is just on another playing field. The scenes the movie just becomes haunting after the atomic bomb goes off, and the scene in the school, like when they rally, is the scene that's going to stick with everybody that watches this movie. More than the bomb test, honestly. That is the scene that will stick with everyone because it's haunting, and you feel the weight of his actions just like he does. And I feel like that scene is already iconic. I watched it literally like 27 hours ago. And I'm saying it is stuck with me, and I feel like it'll always stick with me. And the fact that he's made a movie that visually and thematically will stick with you and you will think about for years, that marks a truly great movie. And I think that's what he did. He made a movie that is thought-provoking, not in the, not in the Inception, does the top fall? No. He made a movie that is thought-provoking in the way of the world we live in, the actions of people in our past, how they shape the world we live in. And you look back and you judge those people, and then you judge yourself and the people that are in the world today and think about the power that they hold with, the power of the weapons. And you think about, just the world at large. And I think that's interesting, the fact that the movie can make you think about that. And I think this is Nolan. Tenet was thought-provoking in the fact of it took me 3 hours after the movie to figure out actually what happened. This was thought-provoking in the way of, we could have an atomic war that would literally destroy everything. Oppenheimer, he feels like the blood's on his hands. And I completely get that. And I think that is an insane feeling that I can never understand. I like how I said I completely get that, and then I just pointed out that I could never understand. What a great way to contradict myself. But both these movies were better than Splash, but neither of these movies are better than Beverly Hills Cop, because there are very few movies in this world that I think are better than Beverly Hills Cop. And by very few, I genuinely think, I don't know, maybe the Lego movie sometimes is, or Raiders Lost Ark. Maybe Spider-Man 2 of Tobey, or Spider-Man 1 of Tobey, or Homecoming. Maybe Guardians 1? I don't think any of those movies. Beverly Hills Cop is probably like my favorite movie ever if I had to pick one. But both these movies are better than Splash, which most movies are. Not that I dislike Splash, it's Splash. I don't know, it's not exactly a great cinematic masterpiece, but Barbie was, and Oppenheimer was too. Oppenheimer's great. Anybody who is interested in this movie should see it. I think that's one of those where if you're not interested in it, it's not going to work for you. You have to be at least intrigued. Barbie is so off the walls, you will like it. Everyone will like that. Whereas Oppenheimer, you have to at least find either interest in Nolan, or you're a big Matt Damon person, or you're big like somebody in the cast. Also, I'm not going to name everybody in this cast because there's so many roles in this, and Matthew Modine's great in it for the little time he's in it. Ryan Malek has a great role in it. Gary Oldman killed it as Truman, especially because I absolutely couldn't stand him, which made sense because Truman was a jerk to Oppenheimer. Didn't like that. But, I think this movie, should be pretty historically accurate. It's based off the American Prometheus novel about Oppenheimer, and my mother read that book, and apparently it's great. So, for those of you that want to read that, great. Me personally, I'm going to stick to my Elmore Leonard and my Justice League International comic book I ordered, so that's great. But, Oppenheimer was great. Feels like a movie I'm going to be watching for years. Barbie, same way. I just feel like we literally got two classics. Like, I genuinely believe these two movies can be talked about for years. because it is two directors that are going to be defining directors of their generations. I genuinely think Greta Gerwig might be next up, and it is going to be one of her best movies and one of Nolan's best movies. And they both had insane hype, and they both lived up to it. And Oppenheimer is absolutely great. It's going to be really tough when I do my best movies of the year and just my best movies in general, like the best movies of 2023. When I do that, it's going to be tough because I think I've decided the Spider-Verse movies aren't automatically in the Hall of Fame just because I feel like it and I make the rules, so you can't stop me. All Spider-Man movies are automatically put in, but I don't think the Spider-Verse movies will be, just because I don't want them to be automatically put in, because I feel like talking about them and ranking them, because I like them so much. I want to show you how much I like them by ranking them. That's really the moral of the story, guys. Yeah. What else was I going to say? Hall of Fame potential is very much there for Barbie. I think it's interesting for Oppenheimer. I got to think on it. It really depends on how much it sticks with me. Probably going to rewatch it for the end of the year for the Sort of Sporties. I'll know then. I'll definitely rewatch Barbie by the Sort of Sporties, which to me, the fact that I'm already thinking about rewatching it means it's got very good Hall of Fame potential. So for those of you that are very curious about the updates to the Hall of Fame, there you go. On a sad note, the writers and actors are striking. 100% stand with them. Everybody should. They need to. Their demands make sense, and the studios are being dirty dogs, and not in the good way, in a bad way. So don't like what's going on there, and they potentially are going to delay Dune to 2024, which makes me very upset. But at least we still get The Killer from David Fincher and Killers of the Flower Moon from Martin Scorsese. Next movie I'll be seeing in theaters is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which looks awesome. I'll probably go see Blue Beetle. Maybe Napoleon. I got to wait on Napoleon. If I hear great things, I'll go. But if it's just like straightforward, big, epic, historical piece, then I'll be like, eh. But if it's like next level, big, epic, historical piece, then I'll be like, oh, okay. I guess here Ridley Scott cooks up. Because sometimes he makes Gladiator, and other times he doesn't make Gladiator. I love Gladiator. Gladiator's so great. But I got to make sure it's really good first. I got to make sure. As I say, I'm going to listen to other people. Okay. I don't know. I will see on Napoleon. I might go see it. It's just one of those where, it's going to be like 3 hours long. And if it's not really engaging and it's just kind of a slog, then it's going to be like, ugh. But it's really engaging. That'll be great. Because, that's what you want from a movie. But I'm really upset if Dune 2 gets delayed because I like Dune a lot. And Villeneuve is one of the best directors in the world. And 2023, I think with Barbie and Barbenheimer and the whole thing, is pretty much confirmed to be an amazing year for movies. Just everything that's come out this year so far. Obviously, there's been some duds, but there have been some apps. Like, I think Guardians 3 is one of the best superhero movies ever made, one of the best MCU movies. Across Spider-Verse is one of the best animated movies ever made. Barbie is one of the most unique movies I've ever seen, and Oppenheimer is one of Nolan's best movies, and that is, like I said, like the defining filmmaker of the last 15 years, and it is also a very important movie, I think, for like the time being when you think about it. I think it's got a lot of interesting things to say about today and the past, and it's a very profound film, and I really like that, and I really am so happy Nolan decided to make a drama that is dialogue-based and character with a lot of characters, and it's all focused about one person, and he did it so well, better than I think hardly any director could do, and the way he tells it makes it so much more interesting. The non-linearity of it, it's so much more engaging, and I just think Oppenheimer is next level, and Barbie is also next level. I love both these movies. They're so good, and I think for years when we talk about both of them, I think if this year was just these two movies coming out, we'd look back and be like, wow, what a big year. But along with a pretty fun Indiana Jones movie and a pretty fun Transformers movie, I haven't seen it, but I've heard good things. I think Blue Beetle is going to be fun. I think if Dune Part 2 comes out this year, it's going to be absolutely great. Hopefully Napoleon is great. Killers of the Flower Moon looks awesome. The Killer should be good by David Fincher. The Mario movie was very fun. Across the Spider-Verse is also going to go down as a classic. I mean, it is incredible. And like I said, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is great too. So there's a lot of great stuff coming out that has come out, and I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles looks really good too. Like, we are in a great year. Maybe Wonka's going to be really good with Timothée Chalamet. Maybe Aquaman 2 is going to be really good. We'll see. I think I have more faith in Chalamet and Wonka than I have in Aquaman 2. They apparently had to reshoot that movie 3 times. It's never a good sign. But did they delay it to 2024? I'm not sure. Regardless, it's been a great year. And, I think we really need to soak it in, because with the current strike going on, there's going to be a dull period coming up. And so the fact that we got this really rare, like, once in a lifetime, I don't know when we'll ever see something like this again with Barbenheimer, something like this. And I'm so happy I did it and got to see them both in the same day, because I've never done that in my life. As much as I've gone to movies, I've never seen 2 movies in the same day at a theater, and it was a great experience. And I don't have any plans to do it again, because it was really special for it to be these 2 movies. And I got to see it with a group of people that everybody really enjoyed, the movie. My sister really didn't like Oppenheimer as much as she liked Barbie. Me and G really liked both movies, and my mother, like I said, wants to see Oppenheimer again, so she was very happy. But yeah, just soak in. If you haven't seen either of these and you listen to all this, that's wild. I don't know why you do that. I gave away a lot of stuff. But I definitely would say seeing them the same day is great. If you don't see them the same day, fine, but you should see both these movies, because I think during a sort of sporties at the end of the year, I kind of already have a concept of the top 5 best movies of 2023, like from 2023 releases. And these 2 are like fighting for the 2 spot. I mean, I think it's probably time for me to say which movie I preferred out of Barbenheimer. I think they're both incredible. I love them both. I think I'm going to watch them both a lot in my life, and I think they're both going to affect me. But I got to say, I think the one I like better is Barbie. A lot of that is the fact that it is absolutely hilarious, and I love the fact of how it completely breaks the mold and is just like the most unique movie I've ever seen. And also the I'm Just Ken song being a banger. And Ryan Gosling, just entire performance is hilarious to me, and I love his character, and it's so great. But I also want to say Oppenheimer put up a hell of a fight, because it is so good. So good. It is so engaging as a movie that is literally people talking for 3 hours, and it is so good. I think it's one of those movies that's going to be popular now, and I can't believe this movie's making this much money, and that's what I'm saying. Nolan's going to do some crazy stuff with his next movie. He already did crazy stuff with this movie. I'm so happy. Everything's practical effects. Like, even the scenes where they're showing, like, stars being sucked into black holes, they made practical effects of that. Like, they got, like, I don't know what they did, but I'm saying that's not CGI. That's not generated. That is, like, little marbles or whatever they use. That's... like the parts where it's like sparks and fire and stuff, that is a real spark and fire they lit, or like they used like items to create that look. None of that is CGI. That's awesome. I just gotta say, Nolan is so great, and Oppenheimer is so good, and Barbie is so good, and we need to appreciate the fact that there are 2 absolutely amazing films that came out on the same day, both 10 out of 10 movies to me. I don't really do number scores, but they're 10 out of 10 is the numbers I'd give these. I love both these movies a lot, and I think they both are going to affect me and a lot of people in positive ways. I think it's really great. We had 2 interesting, thought-provoking, really quality movies from 2 of the best directors working today. And I think I've said pretty much everything I want to say. And really excited for the sort of sporties at the end of the year. I don't know when's the next time we're going to have a movie-focused pod. It might be a minute. We've been doing, we had 3 straight pods that were majority movie. Well, we had one that was all movie, and then one that was mostly movie with a little bit of sports at the end, and then this one is obviously full movie too. So, okay, I think that's everything I have to say. I did prefer Barbie, but gosh, I mean, Oppenheimer is even better than I thought it'd be, and I was expecting to be blown away. No pun intended. So, yeah, they're both great, and everyone should see these movies. Literally everyone, because there is something for everyone in Barbie. And if you have even the slightest bit of interest in Oppenheimer, I bet you'll like it because it's great. So, I know some people say it drags. I loved it. I loved all of it. I think they're both masterpieces, genuinely. And that's not me overhyping it because I just saw them. That's me being legit. It's Ryan Klinger coming from the heart here in Ohio. I won't be in Ohio for a week. And I'll see you all in the next one. Cinema.